everybody, and welcome back to the Starving Artist Development Podcast, where we archive various cultural artist stories, and we talk to them about how they're using their creativity to move the city forward. Of course, I am your host, Gabrielle Carruthers, and we are back with another episode. Listen, this young lady right here, man, when I tell you, she is so awesome. And the way that we met is the story is just even more amazing. But she's so cool. She's so down to earth. She's so laid back. And I must say, I think I've been wanting to actually sit down and have like a conversation with her for quite some time. We always would see each other in passing, and even just the way that we met and we connected for our love of the arts. I mean, she is really just an amazing human being. Miss Latoya Cross, she is a freelance writer. She is a storyteller. She is a director. She is really a wordsmith, if you ask me. And she is also the communications content specialist at the Detroit Symphony Orchestra. I want to introduce to you all this beautiful, bright, shining missile of a talent. Please welcome Miss Latoya Cross.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Bless you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you again. Like we were saying off camera, but just for extending this invitation. And yes, the way that we met, and then for it to evolve into this moment where we can actually have, we can just rock and have some conversation. I'm appreciative. Gratitude.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. So I know our origin story is very interesting. When I was working full time managing a major brand, I also picked up some shifts doing Lyft here and there. Uh, I just happened to pick up Latoya during a Lyft gig, and her and we had this amazing conversation about the arts, and we ended up exchanging information, and we would like always run into each other at different events and stuff. And I was like, oh my God, like she's so cool. And just to think that this was our exchange. And I must say, Detroit is such a small city. Like it's a big city, but it's really a small city. Everybody knows everybody. You're bound to either run into somebody that you know who knows somebody else, or even just work with somebody who has worked with somebody that you've worked with. It never fails. So that's one thing I definitely love about the city of Detroit, just the amount of creativity and undocumented creativity that's here too, because we definitely don't talk about that. But first off, congratulations to you. You just did a story in Outlier Media, and you talked about reimagining the gallery, and you highlighted some amazing artists here in the city. So before we get into that, can you tell the audience a little bit more about yourself? And then, of course, you can just elaborate on your article with Outlier Media.
Yeah. That question, who am I? Who are you? So I flow. Arts is the way that I navigate my everyday. I move through the world in a very art-centered and creative lens. And so the art is like the creation and just tapping into the language, the movement of the city and people and all of that. And then the creativity, you think, solution, you move in solution a little bit too. But yeah, just as a writer, a creator, I because this is like that question. But yeah, I am just one of the arts, a person of the arts. I love what the arts open us up to, what they invite us to imagine and dig deeper into, what they allow us to feel, to reveal about ourselves. And one thing that I am, big about is that inner work to produce, outer good. Because once we have a solid understanding of self, then we can then know how to navigate the world and then be of service to others. And so the way that I do service is through the pen, through collaborative works, through storytelling. And it may look a little different, but what I focus on is art, community, social impact. And I think that art is a beautiful platform, to raise awareness, to bring forth ideas and concepts of ways that we can change, ways that we can work together. And also, those, the good emotions and things like that too. But I am a person who is just leads with curiosity. you know, I, art and flow is how I roll. I'll show up kind of solo because I'm observing, I'm taking in things, and then I'm back. I always have my tools with me, so that's my pencil, my pen, my pad, my note, just all the things. But I flow in the very art centered space. I kind of rambled a little bit, but it's like that question. But
No.
yeah, it's art and flow all day. Period.
Yeah, art and flow. That's actually really cool. I definitely I get that as a creative as well. Sometimes you have your structured creativity and then you have the creativity that you're just like, hey, wherever the wind blows, whatever feels good, whatever feels right, that is pretty much a
Mhm.
part of the creation process, which is really dope. Especially when you are create anything from what imagination or even just the thought process. So I think what you're doing is really cool, right? And I know for a lot of creatives, sometimes they feel like everything has to be structured in order to create. And sometimes the best things that we create just come out of just pure curiosity. So
Yeah, I
that's
mean, and
hey,
just
that's cool.
just leading
And
from a very authentic space. Just, just allowing yourself to be open to experience and what the day may bring. I feel a lot of discernment and moving in alignment is very important and stuff too. But once you kind of open yourself up to um, to welcome things into your orbit that are in alignment with you and that can, help you flourish or help you, understand or dig deeper into something. I'm about that.
no, I feel that. Who are some of the people that inspire you to create?
Ntozake Shange, may she rest in heavenly artistic peace. But she is at the absolute top for me. You didn't say dead or alive, but but she is the top for me. Like the way her language moves on the page. Um, you can hear melody, you can feel movement, the colors, the women that she's talking about, the experiences. I was introduced to her in high school. And did a monologue. I used to live in the world, and I've been uh, just into her work. She's right behind me. Like, I carry her language with me every day, but she's like at the absolute top of it all. Her and Sonia Sanchez. Just the rhythm, the motion, the blackness, the truth, the honesty. And it's not all, and they'll bring you both sides of the things. They'll call you out when it's not right. Like, hey brother, what you doing? Hey sister, you putting it out there and you expecting what? So those two, and then Nikki with her frankness and everything too. But yeah, so those are some of the literary people. I'm trying to think like others. Um, my girl Jessica Care just because she uh, just the rawness and the care that she has, and even her delivery, and the words that she paints on page. And then when you're in conversation with her, the genuineness and her desire for her words to reach the babies, and like that's why, because as artists and creatives, we create because it helps us, it nurtures us in a way, but when it comes out, when it's beyond the self, the self-fulfilling, the flesh and all of that, you really hope that you can touch and connect, with someone who may need it, or is just, just into what you're doing and they're seeing that it's possible, so when it becomes, you know, outside of a self-satisfaction, and you see how it can work in the world and what it's doing in the world, like that inspires me. And I just think just creatives, period, who just because this is a risk, that we take every day to offer language, offer visual arts, offer podcast, these conversations. It's a risk every day, and so what does it take for us to begin to trust ourselves and take that leap to do that thing that we desire? And so when I see that in action and emotion, that's what inspires me.
I agree. I agree. And I know for you as a creative, as I would say a literary wordsmith, as a poet, and
Mm.
as a thought provoker, um, do you feel
Hey,
like creativity requires it requires a certain amount of vulnerability?
Yeah, and vulnerability, and that's interesting because I do, because there's a piece that you're giving up, whether it is you're creating something just out of pure imagination, or it's rooted in something, some truth that you have, that you're connected to in some kind of way. You're giving up, you're offering a piece. And again, like I said, like that takes a lot. That takes a lot. And I remember I was at an artist talk at Norwest, and it was Miriam Yahura. It was her show at the Alchemy. And one of the questions that I asked her is because she does these beautiful portraits, and it's like she's immortalizing the living, and these everyday heroes and people and everything too. And some of those stories are personal stories. So the question was, how much of yourself do you feel like you're giving away when this painting is sold and now it's in the possession of, another person? And the response is that, you were the vessel to get this piece of story out, and you've done that work. And now it can live, you know, um, it can live again and, for someone else, and it can do what it needs to do for someone else. And so as artists, like, and that's part of the gig. That's kind of what we sign up for, you know. Is taking those leaps and allowing, pieces of us to live everywhere. I think about that too with some of the work that Oshun Williams does. Some of those family peoples, or even Joe Casino with the show that he just did, and it's all rooted from his family stories and childhood and things like that. And it's like now and these things carry energy, so it's like what you're putting into it
Yes.
now is spreading, in the world. But vulnerability didn't come easy for me at all. Like that's something that even today I have even been in conversations about becoming more vulnerable within the last couple of years. And when I used to, I was an editor at Ebony and Jet magazine. I did arts, culture, and
Oh,
entertainment. And so one of those questions, and so, and because I love doing the interview, like I love having the conversations and things like that. And there are some artists and creatives where you can tell, that thing you're digging from some place, you are pulling from something known. And I would ask, like, how do you reach that level of vulnerability? How do you what is your process to getting that raw and that real? And part of it was because it was gonna, get some truth and some meat for the story that I was gonna create. But also it was helping me a little bit too, because a part of that is needed so you're not so um, overly guarded to where you can block, those things and those stories that are trying to come out of you. So, but yeah, vulnerability is,
yeah.
yeah, it's all up and through there.
Listen, I just the fact that you even did like editorial work for Ebony magazine. I mean, that speaks volume of the level of creativity unspoken creativity and talent you have, as an
Mm.
individual. And I know your work covers, a scope of various mediums. What are some of your favorite projects that you've worked on?
Ooh, this is a good one. I would say, oof. I know. I think right now, me and my guy, Zachary Cunningham of Misfitted Productions,
Okay.
and a goal, a long time, like notebook dream of mine was to get into documentary filmmaking. And over the last couple of years, that's what we've been doing. And so I've been working with him on some of like the Kresge Arts in Detroit artist films. And so I'm what three or four deep in with him on that. And so that level of like story producing and then co-directing and then directing um, has been fun because it's artists and we're able to bring more than just what their process is, but showing them, like showing the work, getting into how they go about doing what they're doing, not, you know, where you can really understand who they are within the realm of, the work that they do. So I think, and one of the most recent ones that we did, maybe one of my favorites, but that work is amazing, which then led to me being able to lead a documentary at the DSO on our last assistant conductor, Nazir McFadden. And so being able to direct and co-produce that was freaking amazing. It's a lot of work, you say you want all these things, and then when God says, when higher says, here we go, I think you can do this, that work starts hitting you, like, oh, this is the this is the work. But all of those projects with Z, I was able to move, and there's fear, a little bit, but you're able to move with more confidence and just trust yourself enough that you can do this. And so we did that, like I let a whole 10-minute documentary in the classical field. You know what I mean? Like, and so I think those have been some of the high points, of collaboration for me. And it's fun. But then also just on the pen game side, I was doing work with Solutions Journalism Network, and it was a collaboration between Michigan and New York, and it was in the caregiving space. And so I did a piece on Grandma Techno, was one of them. And what that story did, because as, on a personal front, like just seeing my grandparents go older and some of the things that, they're coming to terms with, like being able to be in the caregiving space, writing in that space for a while, even through like an artistic lens, was able to show them like, yo, people are still moving and, still vibrant and, and things like that. And so it just opens me up to, because we age, like life doesn't stop. Like we are still capable. And so being able to share those stories, like with my grandmother, and hearing like her response to them and everything, it was just like that work was very, very meaningful. Yeah, so that was fun. And I don't know, I don't do anything that I can't be passionate in and put myself fully into. So I like the stuff that I work on. Like, I like the stuff that I work on a lot because I believe in it, you know. But yeah.
Listen, I must say, one thing I can definitely speak volume on is just having the space to work on projects that you are passionate about and also projects that you enjoy doing, right? I think that is the beautiful part about being a creator, because I know there are times where we work on things and we can't give it our all because we don't fully believe in the
Yeah.
mission that we're trying to um push out or even fulfill. And for any creative, if there is something that you are working on and you don't believe in it, it is going to make it hard to divest a lot of your energy into fully pushing out a project. And I must say, I know I have stories for days, but that is for another day, another dollar, and another chapter in a book.
Yeah. I learned that early on.
I mean,
Like I learned that early on.
yeah,
If I am and because my mother pointed it out to me, I'm like, if I am not into it and I don't believe in what we're doing, I don't want to disappoint myself. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to try to put myself in a position where the work is not going to be of quality and it's not going to be of service to people and they'll get what they need to get from it or what we just, what we hope would be the outcome. I'm not going to do that. So I've been very blessed and I'm in such gratitude that I've been able to do things that are aligned, and not that everything is the same.
yes.
There's different challenges and different things that push and require you to level up and study and learn more. But everything has been in some form of alignment, and I can smile at the end of it.
Well, you definitely have angels and ancestors carrying you through and protecting you. Because when I tell you, there were times where I had to question my own integrity doing a
Mhm.
project, but when you, like you said, when you fully believe in something, you're going to do everything that you can to fulfill that mission. And I know for you and your artistry, anything that you do, anything that you touch, one, it turns into gold. I mean, because you really enjoy your work.
I
Even just
do.
watching some of the videos of you creating and your process, like you're enjoying this, the laughter, the smiling, like you're like, this is what I love to do. And I'm here to give you all everything that I have, right? I gotta fight every night to prove my love. But you really enjoy this. Like you
Everything.
really
What
enjoy
you
this
doing?
process. And I feel it. Listen, I feel it every time. Every time I watch her content, I'm like, she
Oh,
really enjoys what she's doing. And I want to speak on the Kresge work that you did in those documentaries and stuff,
oh, thank you.
because one thing about Black stories is we need Black voices telling Black stories. And if anybody is going to continue to preserve these stories, your voice is so important with continuing our legacy and moving the culture forward, right? In whatever medium, even with you touching on classical music. I mean, let's talk about it. Beethoven was Black, but we don't talk about that either, right? But I mean, I digress. I digress. But we are a multifaceted group of
Mhm.
resilient individuals. And I feel like anything that we touch is always going to flourish, right? So the words that you carry from your ancestors, from the people that have inspired you to keep pushing, I feel like they really are carrying you through. So I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Like, I'm not even saying that because, we're doing the interview. Like, I know you really do care about your work and your life's mission, and your legacy is going to live on, like, honestly, truly. So thank you. Thank you for doing the work, doing the work, and
Thank you.
continuing to do the work, and to show not only the city of Detroit, but just, little girls that look like us, like anything is possible. And if you put your mind to it and put your grind to it, you can do
Come
it.
on.
You can do
Yeah.
it. You can definitely do it. Yeah. So I just wanted to, pour that into you. Cause like I said, I know we always see each other in passing, but every time I see you, I want to like sit down and like have a cup of coffee and say, girl, we got to talk because do you know what you are doing here in the city? Like I'm so grateful for your creativity and for your work and for your continuous effort to keep the city moving forward. And then especially coming back to the city when you did and just trying to find your way and figure out, okay, where do I fit in and how can I give back to my community while also remaining authentic, in my creativity, right? So I feel like you've done that. You've done that as a creative. Now,
Girl.
there's a question I'm asking.
Girl. Okay. All
There's a
right.
question about you okay? Listen, girl, look. One thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna love on my people. I'm gonna love on my people because the people that I talk to on this show, it really is because I genuinely rock with them. Like, and I see how hard they're working. And I just want the world to know, like, do y'all see what these people are doing here in the city? Especially with Detroit being a predominantly Black city. And when we talk about Detroit itself and like how it was the mecca of so many things, the mecca of music, the mecca of arts and culture, the mecca of Black owned businesses. Honestly, before Atlanta was even the mecca of
Yeah.
the Black business avenue, we had Black Bottom, we had Paradise Valley, we had
Yeah.
Motown music. The creativity really does live in our city, and so many people either come to the city and they profit off of our creativity, but they do not credit the sources that create these golden opportunities. And for me, that's why I'm like, if I have to make this my life's mission, I will. I'm done teaching dance. I'm good. I've done that for 20 years. I performed for 30 years. But there are so many other mediums and there are so many other amazing people that I have worked with along the way, that I have admired along the way. And I'm like, if I can just archive their stories, if I can just
Come
archive
on,
their
the
stories,
archives.
these people are
Yeah.
so important. They're
Yeah.
so important. These people are so important. But like I said, making sure that the sources are credited correctly, because there are so many people that have divested their creativity into the city, but do not receive the proper credit for it. So
Yeah. Well, kudos to you, girl.
that's my TED talk, girl. Look, that's my TED talk. You look, don't get me started because I can go. I can go, okay? But yes, but
Right?
I do have this is always one of the hardest questions. So I know for any creative, we have our good days and then we have our not so good days. What do you do when you have to work through your creative block?
Be honest with myself. Allow the feelings to be felt. Um, and sometimes it takes going to a different artistic medium. So if I'm working on a story, whether it's for a freelance thing or something for work, or a friend, ask me to write something for something that they're working on, um, maybe I have to just vibe out, go dance, and listen to some music for a minute, or take a ride in silence or something like that. But sometimes I found that stepping outside of the current artistic practice, like if I'm writing, that I have to tap into something else for a little bit. And that all comes with
Yeah.
growth and understanding of self, a little bit more and what works, because I can't force it. I can't force it. I can, and then sometimes if it's a walk that I take, I'm an earth baby. I'm a Taurus. And so being out in the environments and nature a little bit too, you know what I mean? Like that helps me too, to where like I can clear out a little bit, um, and then get back to it, but, and it depends on like, what the work, what I'm working on too, and how these due dates and deadlines and all of the stuff like that. Sometimes it comes in the crunch time and everything just hits and it's in flow. And so it has to be like that whole, I have to cut everything off and I'm in silence and I'm just like locked in. But
Yeah.
yeah, I just think that those, we say creative blocks or writer's block or things like that. It just means that go learn something, go read something, go listen to something, and then come back to it. Yeah.
Now, do you work well under pressure? Like when you know there's a tight deadline, or are you like, you got to give me some time to like really work through some stuff?
I feel like working in the arts and communications is like a creative chaos, but it's very
Mm.
manageable. Sometimes, like right now, I have a piece, I'm trying to get in by Monday, and yesterday was not the best day for me. And so I feel like I lost kind of like a day of work. But I know that it's gonna get done. And I trust that I don't miss my due dates and deadlines. So I think a little bit of that heat maybe does help me a little bit. And then it kind of does help me a little bit, but I don't try to I'm not a procrastinator, but I have to be, it has to come. I have to find what that hook is, and then, work it out. Um, and so sometimes that means that in the traditional work hour 9 to 5 day, maybe it doesn't happen then, but maybe that
Mm.
9, 10, 11, 12 o'clock hour, I'm banging it and I'm getting it done. You know what I mean? And so in the earlier part of the day, I have to, write this poem, or I have to do something else to just kind of get the flow of it all going for the day. So, but yeah, I think a little fire helps me. A little like,
Okay.
ooh,
It's like
yeah.
you said, it's something about those witching hours, those graveyard hours, or even just burning the midnight oil, that
Mm,
9 and 10 p.m. work time. There is something magical about those witching
a little
hours.
bit.
Sometimes even at
Sometimes.
2:30 in the morning. Listen, it's something, but they somebody said that if you wake up between what hours of, I think it was 2:30 and 3:30, usually that is God putting something on your spirit, and
Hmm.
whatever that idea is that comes to you during that
Yeah.
witching hour, go write it down, because it's going to help you in the long run. But it's something about literally that 2:30 to 3:30 time stamp in the morning. I
Kid
don't
you
know
not,
what it is, but not.
yeah, I would sleep with a notebook and a pencil like by my bed, because I would literally have these whole scenes come to me, and I would wake up out of my sleep and jot it all down. And that, I mean, and it would just be creative things. It would be dialogue, and the thing, like all of this would come. And so I would have my pen and my paper next to my bed so I could be ready at any time. And now it's like we have the voice notes. So I'll be in the car. Like I do my car concerts and everything, but I also be voice noting it up, like, coming up with stuff too, just so that I don't miss, even if it's a line, a sentence, a word, or just a very broad concept of something that's coming. I always have to be armed with my tools, you know.
Yeah. 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 All right. Well, this is the wrap up question. Usually the question that I dread, because I always enjoy talking to my guest here on the SAD podcast. If you can impart any
Mhm.
wisdom on any up and coming creative writer, storyteller, producer, director, anybody that's kind of like in the creative sector that you're in, what would you tell them?
So what's coming to me is first moving in authenticity. What is true to you? What is real to you? Understanding that. But there is a quote that Carrie Mae Weems said some time ago, and when I when I heard her speak it, and then I read the words, and especially the space that I was in my life, it just kind of helped me pivot and look at things in a whole different way. I'm going to try to remember it off the top, But basically, it's like if you can figure out what you're committed to, then you can figure out the course of your life. I think I paraphrased that, but so it's just like, what is your why? Understand your why and navigate in that. Because no matter what, you'll always have that foundational piece to come back to. So understand your why, and yeah, and move in discernment, and alignment. Yeah.
That,
Yeah.
ladies and
That
gentlemen, is Miss Latoya Cross. Listen, if y'all didn't receive all of this love and this wisdom, then you missed the message. I must say that, first off, just thank you. Thank you for taking the time out to just give us all of this good juju and just, offering your art to the world, right? And making a difference and just being authentically you in the process. Because I know it's hard sometimes when you're a creative and when that check look good, sometimes that integrity is tested. But I'm glad that you continue to walk in discernment and in alignment with your craft. So I must definitely give you your flowers. Now, where can we find you on the internet?
on the socials, well, Instagram is like my jam. So at Toys Story, ToizStory. And then I can lead you to everything else. There's a link there that can lead you to some of the work. But yeah, so that's the main piece for me, because it's visual. It's, you can drop the language on there, like all the things. But Instagram is the spot. Facebook, Latoya Cross. So, and LinkedIn. But
I said, I don't know. You have to do it. Okay, yeah, LinkedIn. You might have to do a YouTube channel when you're ready, when the time is
what?
right. But
Oh, I have
I
something.
said,
And also, like,
a YouTube girl.
yeah, like, and that's another one of the things that I'm in a process of doing as well. Like with me and my guy Z, we have some things in the works, and it's a lot of fun. I'm very like energized and inspired, and just tapping into some things that's always been in me, but it's like no other time. But like this has to be the time to do it over these last couple of years, and I'm just
Yeah.
very grateful, like for him. And I met him through my cousin, when they were doing a film. But I'm just very grateful for like Z and like the work that we've been putting in and the way that we challenge each other. And yeah, the blooming is ever evolving, and so it's more to come for sure.
Evergreen.
Ever
Well, I'm
blooming.
excited. Definitely keep me posted. And we will definitely keep any announcements, any projects that you're working on our website. So yes, if you are out there, you can visit our website at www.starvingartistdevelopment.com. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's Starving Artist Development Pod. Of course, we're on Instagram at Starving Artist Development, and we are also on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and we're working on iHeartMedia. So fingers crossed, some things going on over there. But
You
yes,
got it.
definitely working on iHeartMedia. Of course, if you want to be a guest on the show and you're from the city of Detroit, even though we don't discriminate against out of towners, I welcome everybody. But specifically, if you are a Detroit creative, you can always shoot me an email at info@starvingartistdevelopment.com. We would love to talk to you and work with you. Also, if you have any questions that you want us to ask on the show, you can shoot us an email as well. We would like to thank you, we as in me, and Latoya. We would like to thank you for tuning in to today's episode. And of course, we would look forward to seeing you all soon. Bye.